Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. BC's growing wildfires and hazy skies. The Wesley Ridge fire rages on, leaving hundreds of residents out of their homes on Vancouver Island.
It is hard on everyone. People are sleeping in campers, people are sleeping in tents,
Plus,
Happy BC Day!
marking BC Day, from music, flavors to cultural experiences, how British Columbians are celebrating the province. And a 12-year mystery solved. These vibrant creatures have almost gone extinct, what scientists have now discovered to be the sea star killer.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Baneet Braich, and thank you for joining us. The BC Wildfire Service says the Wesley Ridge fire is now a wildfire of note that is highly visible and impacting many in that area. It's burning on the north side of Cameron Lake, just northwest of Nanaimo. And as Pinky Wong reports, as hundreds are forced to flee, nearby communities are pouring in to help.
This blazing fire is only a few hundred meters away from Colby Rex O'Neill's home near Qualicum Beach. The BC Wildfire Service says the Wesley Ridge fire has grown to 511 hectares.
It's stressful. We've been here before. We had this fire 2 years ago and never got us out of control of this.
O'Neill's house is among some 200 properties under evacuation alert.
We have all of our stuff that we can't lose packed up and in cars and ready to go. But we're waiting till the last minute, till they tell us we have to leave.
Close to 400 homes are under evacuation order due to the fire. Amir Sojay is a brand new resident of the area. He just got his retirement home delivered to Qualicum Beach 2 weeks ago. He planned to install a tiny home over the long weekend before the wildfire forced him to leave it behind.
I didn't have the truck to pull this out, so we just left it there to burn. And as I was driving back to Victoria, I saw a post by Ari saying that I will help anyone.
Ari Buttonham from Coombs helped Sojay to get his tiny home out of the evacuation area.
Joint volunteer service helping get this gentleman's tiny home out of here. Fire's rolling up. We got to get out of here.
He says many in neighboring areas stepped in to help those in need.
It really refreshes you to see how strong the community you live in is. Like I said, there's people that are offering, they might not have vehicles, but they're offering safe haven for livestock. They're offering people to come park their trailers. It's really beautiful to see that.
Everybody is stepping in to help, but for an individual to go above and beyond, to damage his own truck, to come at 11 o'clock in the evening to save someone's house, what can you say? There are no words can explain what he did for me and my family.
Wildfire officials say there was limited growth overnight and crews are working around the clock to bring the fire under control. It is also a priority to keep the vital link of Highway 4 open.
Ground crews are securing water delivery systems to improve containment and directly action the fire. The goal is minimizing growth towards Highway 4 and maintaining safe travel along the highway.
The Regional District of Nanaimo says the Qualicum Civic Centre is open for affected residents. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Vancouver.
And around 134 wildfires are currently burning across the province, including one near Lytton. So the Cantilever Bar fire has grown to just over 1,400 hectares and is now considered out of control. Evacuation orders are in place for 2 nearby First Nation reserves. There are evacuation alerts for 4 different areas near the fire. The BC Wildfire Service says the fire is believed to be human-caused. And just this afternoon, an evacuation order was issued for a fire just south of Fort Fraser in the Bulkley-Nechaco Regional District. 10 properties are part of that evacuation order. So in total, more than 24 fires have ignited in the last 24 hours. And Wesley English joins us now with a first look at your weather. Wesley, how is it looking out there?
I do have some positive news that will help with the fire efforts. That will be coming later this week. We're transitioning to a more cooler, a showery weather pattern by midweek. Let's take a look at the fire danger map. So coastal BC has had a fire ban for over 2 weeks now, and it's no wonder the fire danger rating is higher extreme for a good portion of the coastal sections. Now on Wednesday, Mother Nature will cooperate with the firefight, and I'll have details coming up. Baneet.
Okay, so some reprieve. Thank you, Wesley. And Prime Minister Mark Carney was on the island today, just north of Nanaimo. He was touring the Canadian Forces Maritime Experimental and Test Ranges at Anoose Bay. That included hopping on a helicopter and heading to the Range Operations Center on the Winchelsea Islands.
Would this look staged at all? What am I going to see?
So we call these big eyes, so high-powered binoculars that are on all of our ships.
Okay, so I'm going to claim that I'm seeing, the Queen of the Sea. I see a ferry.
Yeah.
Not Chinese made.
Look, it allows you to get a pretty good view across to see what's going on there.
Carney also climbed aboard the Sikani. It's a torpedo and sound-ranging vessel that's operated out of the facility. A small handful of protesters were also on hand earlier in the day, pushing for the test facility to close and critical that the facility is operated in a cooperation of the U.S. Navy. It's been 2 months since a tragic bus crash in West Vancouver. It left a 4-year-old boy dead and his mother severely injured. As Shoria Chetri reports, the boy's father continues to search for answers.
Many mornings he grabbed my hand or my wife and bring us to the bus stop. And he want to get inside the bus. I tell him, Leo, let's go back home.
Clineo Machado says his son Leonardo was happiest when riding the bus. A curious and adventurous 4-year-old who loved being outside.
Was an amazing kid, very happy all the time, a happy camper, ready to play, ready to go out. He loved the buses. He loves to travel in the buses,
On May 28, Leonardo and his mother Silvana were at the Horseshoe Bay ferry terminal after a day trip to Bowen Island when a TransLink bus jumped the curb and struck them. This was the last picture they sent to Machado from that trip. Leonardo died at the scene. Silvana, 51, remains in critical condition. Another woman was also injured but was hospitalized in stable condition.
It's so sad that a bus took his life. Just keep praying for her, It's very important.
Machado spoke during a memorial held outside the Vancouver Public Library on Saturday. Dozens gathered, laying flowers and sharing memories.
He said, maybe one day she will be able to walk again. She lost so many muscles,
He says his wife still has a long road ahead and says he's holding off on their son's funeral until she recovers. Machado, who used to work 3 jobs to support his family, has taken time off to care for his wife. He says he's grateful for those who have helped him.
If it was not for the support from the community, I would be in trouble today. I didn't expect all these donations.
A fundraiser organized by friends has raised over $175,000. Now the community has come together calling for a transparent and timely investigation into the crash.
We still don't know what happened. We don't know what they are doing to prevent that from happening again.
West Vancouver Police says speed was not a factor in the incident and the bus has been seized for mechanical inspection, but no other details have been shared. Police say given the nature of the complex multi-agency investigation, they can't share more information, adding that they are doing their best to make sure that the wait isn't any longer than it has to be. Machado says he's not looking to point fingers, but wants clarity so that tragedies like this can be avoided in the future.
We need investigation to put a closure to the tragedy, It's not about punishment. It's about learning what happens and avoid this thing to happen again to other families.
For now, he says he finds strength in community and comfort in his son's memories.
He's in heaven now, and I wish I could be there with him.
Shoria Chetri, CBC News, Vancouver.
In Langley, RCMP are investigating a serious fatal collision which has left 1 person dead. Police say a motorcyclist was killed on Saturday evening. The crash happened at around 8:22 p.m. westbound on Highway 1 between 260th Street and 246th Street. The highway was closed for several hours as first responders investigated. Mounties are asking anyone who witnessed the collision or has dashcam footage to contact them. We're also just learning that the Delta Hospital will close its ER overnight due to what they call an unexpected physician illness. The last patient will be accepted into the ER at 7 p.m. Nurses will remain on site to redirect patients needing care and to help with basic needs. The ER will reopen tomorrow morning at 6:30. And you might be celebrating and reflecting on what BC means for you today. Well, some British Columbians say marked the holiday with a new BC Day festival in Coquitlam's Town Centre Park. It was presented by the city and the Coquitlam First Nation. It featured what's billed as the largest salmon barbecue in BC history, with 2,000 pounds of wild salmon hitting the grill. The event is part of a new tradition of celebrating stories, communities, and cultures that make up the province. Thousands cheered and marched with the spirit of pride this weekend, celebrating love, diversity, and inclusion. But as Michelle Gomez reports, the parade looked a bit different this year, facing new strains.
Colors, sparkles, and cheers filled the streets of downtown Vancouver Sunday. The city's annual Pride Parade drew thousands.
Pride is a way for me to express myself as a queer person and dress the way I want and feel like myself.
There's so many wonderful and beautiful, LGBTQ people in the world, and we should all be recognized and be treated equally.
It's like a lovely community to see everyone come together, even just allies, so it's really nice.
Among Pride goers was Prime Minister Mark Carney.
It's to be who we want to be. It's to love whom we want to love. It's the freedom. It's the diversity. It's the pride. It's the celebration. It's what's great about our country, and I'm just thrilled to be part of it.
This year's parade was shorter and simpler than previous years. Organizers say they were forced to make do with budget cuts after about half of their corporate sponsors backed out, among them Lululemon and Walmart.
The U.S. companies are seeing a lot of pressure about DEI and making too much noise about inclusion and diversity, and that's a real shame. There's also, if you're having financial hardship as a corporation, it seems that cutting the Pride events and the support there is the easiest route. And
Auger says despite financial strain, the Pride Society has every intention of keeping the yearly celebration going and have asked the city to help sponsor the event in the future. It's something Mayor Ken Sim says could be a possibility.
We'll obviously look at it, and I can, it's disappointing that other sponsors have stepped away, but at the City of Vancouver, we've maintained our commitment and we support Pride.
Vancouver's celebration is Canada's oldest Pride parade, dating back to the 70s when it began as a protest march through Davie Village.
And Pride is really important because it's so much better to celebrate our rights than to fight to get them back.
Organizers say it's a tradition that must continue. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Nearly 10,000 kilos of food has been dropped over Gaza in Canada's attempt to ensure aid reaches Palestine. More on that after the break. The Canadian Armed Forces made their first humanitarian airdrop over Gaza, delivering nearly 10,000 kilograms of food. The RCAF transport departed from a Jordanian airbase on Monday morning. The CBC's Susan Ormiston was on board.
This is the first time a Canadian Armed Forces aircraft has transported humanitarian aid into Gaza by air. Inside these pallets are food supplies, lentils, water, oil, canned fish. We're told that each box is enough to feed one family for a week. There are about 10 tons of food on this aircraft. Israel had been blocking this type of airdrop of aid for about 9 months until last week. The system has its critics. Aid agencies, humanitarian agencies says the food often doesn't go where it's intended. It's fought over on the ground. It's not viable and ineffective and often expensive. They want land-based food delivery through trucking daily into Gaza.
The level of humanitarian crisis in Gaza is intolerable, and Canada understands that airdrops are insufficient to meet the full needs of the people on the ground in Gaza. However, when there's this level of human suffering, inaction is not an option.
It's part of Canada's commitment to humanitarian aid, we're told by the government, which last month announced another $33 million worth of humanitarian aid. This is part of it. We were not allowed to get on the Canadian aircraft because of Israeli restrictions and risk considerations. However, we were invited to join a Jordanian airdrop, and that's what we're going to do. On this Jordanian aircraft, there are 3 tons of milk inside these boxes. We are about to drop them over Gaza, about 30 minutes from here. We cannot show you what we see outside these windows. The Israelis have forbidden any media images of what's happened down on the ground, but we can see the flattened landscape of neighborhoods. This is a stopgap for now, and a very visible way for countries, including Canada, to show they are doing something directly to alleviate hunger in Gaza. And away it goes. 3 tons of milk this time. No way to track exactly where it goes or who gets it. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, over Gaza.
New proof tonight that Canada is looking beyond the U.S. when it comes to trade, with high-level talks now set in Mexico. Peter Armstrong on why expanding that relationship could pay off.
We're on our way to Mexico City.
As trade talks with the U.S. stall, Ottawa is looking even further south. The finance minister and foreign affairs minister are en route to Mexico, where they're expected to meet with government officials, including the Mexican president.
Looking at markets, looking at diversification, looking at strengthening our partnership with our Mexican colleagues.
Experts have long said the two countries should work more closely together.
We both live next to an elephant. But at the end of the day, it's much better to be on top of the elephant than underneath the elephant.
This former Mexican ambassador to the U.S. says the Canadian trip can be a game changer.
I think this trip, hopefully, can be the beginning of a much more structural, strategic engagement between both our governments and both our countries.
Canada currently does about $56 billion a year with Mexico, a fraction of trade with the U.S.
Diversification starts right here on our continent. And when you think about it, there's a couple 100 million people living in Mexico, and we barely do any trade with them at all.
Mexico's also seemingly maintained a better relationship with Donald Trump, convincing him to keep their tariffs at 25% and continue talks, while Canada faces a 35% tariff on non-CUSMA compliant goods. Meantime, if you were looking for a sign of just how top of mind Canada trade talks are in the U.S. right now, consider that Trump didn't even mention Canada on Sunday night, but did opine on this.
If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
I'm not here to tell you.
He's talking about a controversial jeans ad starring American actress Sydney Sweeney. U.S. officials haven't exactly been clamoring to get back to the table with Canada.
If there's a way to a deal, we'll find it. And if it's not, we'll have the tariff levels that we have.
So even if Mexico and Canada come to some kind of an agreement on how to deal with the United States on trade this week, the real issue will be convincing lawmakers here to pay attention. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Washington.
A mystery solved. Canadian scientists have figured out what's killing sea stars. How it's related to the cholera, that's next. It's been a 12-year sea star mystery. Scientists now know why those giant sea creatures have been decimating off North America's west coast. As CBC science reporter Anand Ram shares, it's a bacteria from the same family that causes cholera in humans.
Sometimes they're orange, or they can be this like beautiful lavender color sometimes, or purples or greens. Often they're this like kind of model of all of the above.
These creatures certainly live up to the name sunflower sea stars. But this is what they've become. Along the west coast from Mexico to Alaska, twisted, melted puddles of death, the result of sea star wasting disease. Now, after a decade of being pushed to near extinction, for the first time, a likely cause.
The agent is a bacteria It's called Vibrio pectinicida.
From the same family that causes cholera in humans, scientists found it by exposing healthy sea stars to fluid from infected ones.
We inject it into the coelomic cavity of the sea star, which is essentially kind of the central part that all the arms are coming out of.
Researchers say it took years of testing and cross-border cooperation to finally lead to this clear signal.
The amazing thing is now we can test them. Now we can go out and actually do tests and see like what is the actual prevalence of this pathogen in the field.
It almost kind of felt like we were never going to figure out what it was.
For those who study sunflower sea stars, the absence has let their prey, sea urchins, expand, devouring kelp forests critical to both biodiversity and coastal communities. This finding is a hope for assisted recovery programs.
So my mind goes to the practical applications of what does this mean for if we want to breed these animals and release them in the wild, can we develop a test so we can test whether the animals we bred in captivity have this disease before we outplant them?
The killer, Vibrio, is said to be a barometer of climate change, thriving in warmer waters. So there's an urgency to bring back the sea stars as they help protect coastlines from storms, also supercharged by a warming world. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
And let's take another look at your BC-wide weather forecast. Wesley English joins us again with the latest. Wesley, hearing some cooler temperatures on the way?
Yes, cooler temperatures and some showers in the forecast for many parts of British Columbia. We'll get into that in just a second. Let's take a look at the almanac. We did see high clouds and sun around Metro Vancouver today. Got up to 22 degrees. Sunset tonight at 9:48. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. Now, it was a dry start this morning across all of British Columbia, but then that daytime heating helped with the convective showers and thunder showers for that southeastern corner of our province. As we head into tonight, we'll start to see things slow down again, but then we will, just put up the right graphic here. This is a look at what we can expect over the next 24 hours. So the rain will start falling on the north and central coasts for tomorrow. And then by Tuesday night and into Wednesday, parts of the south coast will get rain. Then that upper low will track inland. And that's when we'll start to see some rain for the interior too for Wednesday night and into Thursday. This is a look at tonight's temperatures across our province. 12 degrees in Williams Lake, 14 in Kamloops and in Kelowna as well. Tomorrow, as mentioned, we'll see that rain moving on shore, the north coast first. So 16 degrees for a high in Prince Rupert tomorrow with rain. And for the BC interior, we will see clouds and sun, but then that risk of a thunder shower will remain in the forecast for many parts of the BC interior. All right, the 5-day forecast for the Metro Vancouver area. Tomorrow, clouds and sun, seasonal temperatures over the next few days, but we will start to see a warming trend again after midweek. Wednesday is when we will see the biggest risk of rain as an increasing risk of showers. So to start, a little bit to drier on Wednesday morning, but then we will see rain on Wednesday night into Thursday.
All right. Thank you so much, Wesley. And thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast on our free CBC Gem app, as well as on YouTube, and of course our website, that's cbc.ca/BC. Hope you have a great rest of your night.